Hello there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lizzie, and for today's video I'm going to share with you my Stranger Things DIYs. And I'll be honest, I'm not super good at talking, but I love making things, and I really wanted to make decor inspired by Stranger Things to put up around my house all year round. Okay, so my first idea, it was inspired by the ball of Christmas lights that Joyce uses as a way to communicate with Will. This was in the first season, and I thought it would be a cool idea to recreate that in a way that would be fitting for an everyday decor thing. So here I have a large clear ball ornament from the Dollar Tree, and I have a pack of LED lights that I got from Walmart. These were a little over $5, so they weren't a bad price, and at the time they only had one pack left, and so I had to grab those. This DIY is pretty easy. All I'm going to do is hot glue each bulb onto the ornament. Now, it didn't cover the entire ornament completely like I wanted, but I still like how it came out. If I wanted to, I can just go back and get a second pack of these bulbs and then completely cover it, but it's okay for right now. And what's also great about these is that these bulbs don't heat up, and there's a timer option on the control switch, so that's cool too. And yeah, that was pretty much it. Idea number 2, I wanted to make a home sweet home sign with a Stranger Things twist. So I have a sign from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to take it apart and paint the frame with a black acrylic paint, and this paint I just bought from Walmart. When painting this frame, the paint will have this kind of cracking reaction. I don't know exactly if there's like a name for it, but it looks like I sanded it down, but I didn't, and I love it like that. As that dries, I'm going to take the centerpiece off and paint it white. I think if I had a white chalk paint, I would love this even more, but I only had acrylic paint at the time, and I'm not a huge fan of the texture it gave this, but I still love the look of it. When it dried, I then hot glued these mini Christmas lights on. And these I found at Goodwill. I always go and look at those bags of crafting supplies that Goodwill puts together, because sometimes I find really good stuff. So what I'm doing is just measuring where I want to hot glue these, and then I'm just going to hot glue them at each end. There's going to be 3 layers, and I'm going to make sure to space them out. When the hot glue dried, I then went back with white paint and just covered the hot glue so it wouldn't stand out so much. And yes, this is inspired by the ABC wall in the first season in Joyce's home. So that means when I write the words home sweet home, I'm purposely trying to not make it look perfect. I decided to paint some stitches around the edges, and then I hot glued the pieces back on and put the board back into the frame, and that was it. Idea number 3 is inspired by 2 things. One is the backdrop used when Max and 11 are taking photos in the mall, and inspiration number 2 is the head of a Demogorgon. What I decided to do was grab one of these shadow box frames from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to turn it into something like a display case. The first thing I did was take the frame apart and clean off the wording that's on the glass. It's pretty simple to clean this off. I just used nail polish remover. On the outside of the frame, I'm going to make curtains, and it's going to be like don't look behind the curtain type of thing. And those curtains are going to resemble the backdrop in that scene, in the photo shoot scene. To do that, I have fabric from Walmart, and I'm going to make 2 curtain panels with this fabric. I laid that on top. and then I cut the length I wanted, and I got the gist of the width I wanted, and so I just cut that. And then I folded my piece in half, and then I cut it in the center, and that was my little curtain panel trick. Now I'm going to decorate my curtains to look like the backdrop in the photo shoot by using fabric paint. These I also got at Walmart. So I really love the abstract / 80s look of this backdrop, and I really wanted to incorporate it into my Stranger Things DIY decor, so this is what I thought of. You can't see it, but I do have one of the images up on my computer to help guide me when I'm painting this, because there's a lot of different painting techniques that went into this. I see different types of brush strokes, I see splattered paint, what looks like dripped on paint, and that's hard to do with this fabric paint, but I did try my best, and I think I tried to get a similar look, and it's not, of course it's not exact, but yeah, I did my best. To make the curtain rods, I took a skewer, I measured it to the frame, and I cut it. And then I hot glued 2 wooden beads on each side, and then painted that all black. Now, the frame needed a fresh coat of paint, so I ended up painting that as well with black acrylic paint. If you're good at sewing, you could probably make these curtains look really pretty, but all I did was hot glue these onto what is now my curtain rod, and then I hot glued that onto my frame. So I want to make a template, and in order to figure out the size I wanted my head to be, what I did was take the backing of the frame and use parchment paper. I placed that on top, and then I drew on the parchment paper, and I did my best to try to draw the Demogorgon head, but mine kind of looks like a starfish, which yeah, anyway, I tried my best, and then once I was done, I cut it out, and then I have my template. Now I'm going to use that to trace onto my cardboard. This cardboard is going to be my base that holds everything together, although I don't know if it was super necessary to use cardboard, but I didn't want to risk it. I think if I were to do it a second time, I would just go with aluminum foil, and then that would probably just be fine as well. But yeah, this is what I did. Now I'm going to wrap this aluminum foil around my starfish, around my Demogorgon head, and then I also hot glued some aluminum foil around the edging. I made what looks like a little bowl of aluminum foil for the center, and then I hot glued that on. Now I'm using an air dry molding clay and putting that all over, and this stuff dries fast, so I have a little bowl of water to dip my fingers in from time to time, and doing that also helped me to smooth the clay and get rid of cracking. Once the molding clay dried, I then went on to painting. When it came time for the teeth, because this is such a small piece, the only thing I could think of was to paint the teeth on. The last thing I did for this was use hot glue to make the illusion of drool. So I had the backing to the picture frame, and I'm going to stick this pink vinyl that I got from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to put that right on to the backing. And then I just hot glued my Demogorgon on and put everything back together, and that was it. Idea number 4 came to me when I seen this little basket at Goodwill. I knew I wanted to use this for my master bathroom, and our master bathroom is going to be where all my Stranger Things DIY decor will go. So the image that I had for this basket was making tendrils on each side and making them look like they're taking over the basket. The first thing I did for this was paint the entire thing with chalkboard paint. These I got from the Dollar Tree. Another thing I wanted to do with this was have some of the lyrics from Running Up That Hill, A Deal with God by Kate Bush. I couldn't find my chalk pen. I thought it'd be cool to do this all in chalk, but it didn't work out. That I couldn't find my chalk pen, and then the regular chalk just looked really weird, so I just went with painting it with acrylic paint. To make the tendrils, I decided to go with aluminum foil, and I just cut those into slits and rolled them up so they have a little bit of dimension to them. The colors I used were black, red, and chestnut brown. The only thing I forgot to do for this was cover the aluminum foil with another paper, like tissue paper, or maybe a molding clay, because I'm going to be painting on these, and painting on aluminum foil doesn't usually last very long. The paint does start to chip off, but for right now it's fine, and it's still holding up pretty well, but I know in time it's not going to last. But that's okay, because I'm going to end up changing it in the future anyways, so it all works out. So before painting them though, I glued them onto each side, and I tried to make them look like they were connecting together but also spreading apart. And then I put hot glue on top of each one so the hot glue can make them look thicker and more vine-like. Plus it can make them have a slimy effect. And now I painted them, and I started with black, and once the black dried, I went in with my other colors. And that was it. Idea number 5 is inspired by the Candle Extravaganza. I really wanted to turn this into a decorative piece that I can have around my house all year round. At first I was thinking of turning it into a toothbrush holder, but I ended up changing my mind on that. And so what I'm going to do is turn this into a candle. Now, what I did first was I grabbed a glass cup from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to wrap aluminum foil at the bottom of it. The Candle Extravaganza has layers of, there's whipped cream, Eggo, whipped cream, Eggo, whipped cream, Eggo, and I'm going to have an extra layer of whipped cream at the bottom because I'm going to have candies at the bottom, and I really needed something of a bottom base so then I can put my candies on there. So I figured I'd just have another layer of whipped cream. And I'm going to have the aluminum foil be the skeleton part of the whipped cream, and I'm going to hot glue that onto the glass. When it came to the Eggo part, I wanted the Eggos to have a squishy texture, so when you touch them, they're squishy. So I'm using cotton balls for that. And for the cotton balls, I wish I could see into the future because I really should have put another layer on top of that layer, like 2 layers of cotton balls, because in the end of it, the Eggo part didn't really stick out as much as I wanted to. So I think I would double layer it next time and then get a more squishy effect. So I'm doing a pattern of aluminum foil, cotton balls, foil, cotton balls, foil, cotton balls, and you get the gist of it. And that is going to be the pattern. So this is just the skeleton part. Here's how it turned out in the end once I was done doing all the patterns. And yeah, I feel like I could have done another layer of cotton balls on top of those cotton balls. I feel like I said cotton balls like 20 times already. Now I'm gonna paper mache this. I'm gonna use Mod Podge and toilet paper, and I'm going to put Mod Podge on that toilet paper and then stick that toilet paper right on top of everything that I just hot glued on. So I had to be careful on how much I used on Mod Podge because I didn't have a lot. I only had that little bottle, so I was kind of cheap on how much I used, but it still worked out in the end. And an easier way to do this is just dipping it the paper into the glue and then sticking it on. And that would have been a whole lot easier and faster instead of using a paintbrush like I did, which I only did that because I was being really cheap on how much I was using on Mod Podge. Is cheap the right word? I don't know. What I'm doing now is using my hot glue and making a line that goes all around each of my Egos part. I want this to be more defined looking as Egos, so I'm going to use this hot glue to do that. Now I'm going to take spackling that I got from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to turn this into whipped cream. So everywhere that I put the aluminum foil, I'm going to put the spackling on top of that. And then I'm going to try to work it so it looks somewhat like whipped cream, hopefully. When the spackle dried, I then painted it with acrylic white paint. And I think I made mine really cake looking. I do like how it came out in the end. It looks really cool. Now I'm just showing you the colors that I used to make the Eggo color. I wouldn't really recommend or necessarily recommend using the same colors because I did struggle on getting the right shade. I did a lot of mixing these colors together and seeing what worked, and I just tried my best to get as close as I could. Since the spackle didn't come out as whipped cream as I was hoping, I think next time I'd probably use one of those cake decorating tools, but I didn't have that. And since it didn't come out exactly as I wanted to, I'm going in with hot glue and I'm going to go over my whipped cream part with hot glue to try to give it a more whipped cream effect. This is how it looks when the hot glue dries, and if you notice, I did paint over the Eggo part, the hot glue that I put on the Eggo part, I painted that with chestnut brown. And then I'm going to go over with white acrylic paint and paint over that hot glue part that I made for the whipped cream. And now it's time for the clay mold, and it's time to make all those extra pieces. So the candy pieces, the Jelly Bellies, the Reese's pieces, the Hershey's Kisses. I'm going to make all of those with this clay mold. It took me some time to make all these because I made a lot, but I like how they came out and they were fun to make, so I didn't mind. And now it's time to paint them, and these are the colors that I used to glue my candies all on. I used hot glue and I used E6000. I think super glue would work just fine too, but I don't have that, ironically, and Alice glue I have, and I don't have super glue. But anyways, I sprayed adhesive spray. That was the last thing I did for that. Nope, it wasn't the last thing I did. I sprayed adhesive spray at the bottom of this because I glued on felt. So I glued felt onto the bottom of this. The last thing I did was turn this into a candle, and there's a bunch of videos on YouTube that you can watch to learn how to turn something into a candle. It's pretty simple. All I did was I put a wick at the center and I melted 2 candles from the Dollar Tree, and then I just poured the hot wax in there and it worked fine. To get the different color effect, I used candles around my house that are different color, and I would pour in the hot wax one at a time. So once one of the colors hardened, I would pour in another color, and that's how I got this cool color effect. And that was it, and I really love how this came out. If I could see into the future, I would have put another layer of cotton balls because I love how this came out. It does, the Eggo part is squishy, but I feel like if it stuck out more, it would be even funner to squish. But I still love how it came out. And that is it for my Stranger Things DIY decor video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I'm not much of a talker, like I said, but I like making things and I like making cool things. Hopefully I inspired you to make cool things. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you for watching. Bye.